Welcome, and welcome. We will be starting in one moment. Um, just see what's going on here. Yes, here we go. Okay, so we are live on both platforms. Great evening, and welcome to episode number 101. I see we already have a guest joining in for the first time, saying hello. God bless you. Um, please go ahead in the comments and tell me where you are chiming in from tonight, as well as if it is your first time. If you are live or if you're watching this later on the replay, I would love to see that. Also, welcome to 2025. So if you also want to put in the comments what it is that you are setting yourself for as far as with your goals and your dreams in 2025 as well, I would love to see that. And we are about to get started. I am so excited for what we have in store for you tonight. So without further ado, let's just go ahead and get started. So welcome to episode number 101 of the Sonya Dungee podcast, which is sponsored by Always Destined for Greatness, where conversation is always um, the essence of the soul. I am your host, Sonya Dungee, and yes, I am still bringing the heat to the Facebook, YouTube, and IG streets. And before we go any further, more on a serious note, okay, welcome to my friends over at IG. Just want to make sure that you were there. Thank you, thank you. Welcome from Jacksonville, Florida. Welcome from Strong Island, New York. Welcome. But before we go any further, I'm just asking for my prayer warriors to help lead me in a silent prayer. And I know I've never done this before, but I feel compelled to do this on many levels. One is for my brother from another mother who's been hospitalized and is looking to draw strength from our prayers, as well of those who have passed on and those who are in grief, hardship, and facing life challenges. There's a lot of things that have been going on in this world, and this is the first day of a new month, of a new year. And let's just take a moment of silence and just pray for all of those as well. Amen. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate your prayers and praying alongside of me. Okay, so with that being said, we have a special guest. I'm just giving him a few minutes so that he is able to join us. But in the meantime, and in between time, I did write a couple of things down that I did want to talk about before we go ahead and edify our guest for tonight. So, first of all, the link for the Always Destined for Greatness Presents Boss Masterclass, 5 Key Strategies to Build Resilience One Day at a Time. That link will be dropping sometime tonight, so please be looking for that. The class is next Wednesday at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm super excited about that. What a way to start the year, talking about building resilience. Also, big sis, Coach Dawn Allen, she had put on her Facebook wall, and I just love that. She had asked what the word was that you had for 2025. And so I put my word up, and my word is quintessential. And I spoke about that today on the live that I had, a walk and talk earlier. So you might want to check that out as well. So I see that our guest is in the building. So before we bring him up, for those of you who are joining for the first time, and it does look like we do have some guests that are joining for the first time, and I want to welcome you so much for that. I know you came to hear Carrie's story, so we're not going to take too much time before we get started with that. You're always welcome to come join my podcast at any time. It's normally at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Wednesdays on 3 platforms, Always Destined for Greatness, on Facebook under Sonya Simone Dungee, and there on YouTube under the Sonya Dungee podcast as well. And I'm going to be hopping back and forth over because I don't want to miss anybody on the IG platform as well. So I want to welcome everybody and thank everybody once again. And Big Sis, if you will just write down the names of our guests that are joining from the Instagram side of the house for me, I would greatly appreciate that. You're probably doing it anyway, so thank you in advance. So because we have people joining for the first time or watching on the replay, let me just tell you a little bit about myself and the reason why I'm sitting before you tonight, how I started my journey. My journey began on January 23rd, 2021, 5 days before my dad's 83rd birthday, on a Saturday, 12 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Northport, New York, at the Veterans Administration Hospital, as I held my dad's hand and watched a tear come out of his eyes and had to watch him take his last breath, which I did not want to do. I didn't want to be there. I didn't want him to be there. I've never experienced anything like that. And then to top it off, being that I was the only sibling in New York, I had to tell them when it was time for them to allow him to let go and pass on. And I screamed, I begged, I pleaded. I wanted somebody else to do it. I couldn't do it, but I had to, so I did. And I knew in those moments that meant that my dad was going to leave me and I was never going to see my dad again. So with that, I withdrew and I went into a really bad whirlwind, dark place. I didn't use drugs. I didn't drink, but I was just depressed. I was in the shadows. I wasn't eating and didn't realize that I wasn't eating. I couldn't sleep at night. I was that gerbil or hamster, if you will, on the wheel that just kept spinning around. Or if you can relate to the movie Groundhog's Day, I was that groundhog that was just doing the same thing day after day after day after day. The only thing that changed was the months of the years, the months within the year, the days of the week, the hours, and the seasons. Other than that, nothing else changed. I did the bare minimum. I excuse me 1 second because I see Carrie was with us. Just want him to know to rejoin. Okay, and it was the middle of the pandemic, so things were so different, and I was working from home, so I would walk across my living room into my shishi room, turn on the computer systems, did my 6, 7.5, 8 hours, whatever my tour was for that day, shut everything down at the end of the night, shut the door, walk back across the living room, shut my bedroom, and that went on for 342 days. In that time, I was running back and forth to the cemetery. I was a mess. I was stuck. I had no direction. I didn't know if I was coming or going. I didn't know what to do. There was no instructions for me to read, how to get over it, nothing. And it wasn't until I decided that I was not going to do it anymore. I couldn't do it anymore. I was burnt out. I was tired. I was tired of lying to anybody and everybody who asked me how I was doing. And I would let them know I'm fine, and I wasn't. I was hurting. I was just, it was just like cutting me with the worst knife ever from within. And, my dad was my world. And then my world was just suddenly taken away from me without warning, without anything. And it was in those moments of darkness, and the realization happened that I couldn't do it anymore. It's not what my dad would have wanted. He had expectations for especially his girls. And I wasn't living up to my dad's expectations. I had 3 grandchildren at the time. I wasn't spending any time with. I wasn't around my friends. I wasn't around my family, and I didn't care to be. It wasn't like I just woke up and decided I'm just not going to do that today. You just find yourself stuck. So I made the conscious decision that I needed to do more, that I was going to do more, and I did. On December 31st of 2021, after the 342nd day, I had made an appointment with my now mentor, Mr. Darren Walker, and I explained to him my story because he had a coaching program and personal development in business. And he happened to find me in my darkest moments, and I signed up, and he told me if I was coachable and if I was teachable and if I showed up and if I did the work, he would help me through. I did that. But when I did it, I was doing it for myself, but my notion was I'm going to show him that I'm going to be coachable, I'm going to be teachable, I'm going to show up. But it wasn't about showing him at the end of the day. It was for me. It was for me to show up. It was for me. I mean, I wasn't Darren Walker's only student, so I wasn't doing him any favors whatsoever. But once I came to that realization, I was there. To this day, I've never missed a class. And I'm not trying to pat myself on the back. It's because I choose to be in that atmosphere and learning and growing. And I've learned so much more about my faith that I've been able to draw on that. And I have a loving, Be Iconic community. I'm so grateful for my family and my friends. I have a lot of friends that I consider family just as much. And I am grateful. And I know that at any time when I feel like I'm falling short, I know that they're right there for me, my community. And as a result, now I help those as a transformation coach struggling with hardship and with grief and with life challenges, go from suffering in silence and feeling stuck with no direction and no end in sight to becoming resilient and empowered with an attitude of expectation and of excellence, achieving their economic independence so that they can be destined for their greatness, while walking truly in their own purpose. And that brings a smile to my face. And I am so grateful that I have an opportunity to help others who were in a situation as such as I was in, because there's no rule books, there's no handbook. You don't know. You can't just say, hey, how do I get out of something? And you want to be able to learn and hear from somebody who has gone through it themselves. And that's where I come in, because I am a transformation coach and I teach from experience. And I let you know in a minute. I hear you, I see you, and I feel you, because I once was you. And there's so much truth into that when I say it, because I fully understand completely. Now I see that our guest is popping in and popping out, so we're going to take care of that for him. And tell him that it's okay for him to come back on stage. But in the meantime, I'm also going to jump back over to our IG to see if there is any comments that have been left in the meantime while we get our special guest situated. So let me hop over very quickly. So welcome. Jacksonville, Florida is in the house. Live and direct. Amen. Thank you. Also Florida in effect. I know Georgia's here as well. And then we see Washington, D.C. is in the building. Amen to that. Thank you all for joining. And as we jump back over again, let's see what's going on over here. We have Esra Edis from Upper Peninsula, Michigan. Yes. Welcome. And yes, I'm glad that you were here to be supportive of your friend. Let's also see Daryl. Thank you. I see you in here as well. You are from the Upper Peninsula, Michigan. Yes, thank you. So we are just trying to get Carrie. This technology can really be something, and it's all good. It's all good. We are going to get him on. No worries there. I see he's trying to come back on again. Okay, let's see. Let's add him to the stage real briefly. Carrie, are you there? Carrie, can you hear us? Can you see us? Okay. Not really 100% sure. One moment. Okay. So we're just going to I'm going to edify Carrie in the meantime, because he's definitely on the stage. But if you can hear us, you have to turn your camera on if you can, or just at least speak to us so that we can know that you are there. We can hear you. I can hear noise, but can't fully hear you.
Me, but I can't hear you.
Yes, yes, there you go. Yes, we can hear you and we can see you. Okay, so we can hear you for sure. Not really sure why you can't hear us. Let me just make sure our audience can hear me. Can everybody hear me? If so, can somebody just drop in the comments, I can hear you? Okay, you can see Carrie on IG. Can you hear me? That's what we want to know. Okay, Carrie, we can definitely see you. Okay. So he's having some technical difficulties there, but in the meantime, I appreciate you hanging with us. So I'm going to start talking about Carrie in the interim, and worst case of worst cases. If we're still having a problem, then we'll probably just jump over to Instagram. I think he has Facebook, to Facebook. And on Facebook, I'm under Sonya Dungee, Sonya. But we are doing our best to try to get him back in the building. Not sure if he's using his laptop or his phone. But we are trying to get him back. One moment. I'm just looking for making sure everybody can hear me. I can hear you. Yes, thank you. Thank you, Tony, for that. Okay. Trying to reach out to Carrie to see if that's his voicemail. Let's see. I was in the room but could not hear you. Done. He did leave. He left me a message. My computer's not liking StreamYard very well and keeps freezing. All right, try the phone. Try your phone. Okay, so the laptop wasn't working for him, and it's all good. We all know that spiritual warfare is at its finest, but we don't play those games. We do not allow for spiritual warfare. Not today, not yesterday, not even tomorrow, ever. Devil is a liar. Okay, so as he tries his phone, I'm gonna go ahead and edify him, and then I'll just start talking about him, and then we will just take it from there. Okay, so let me first start with the reason why I asked Mr. Carbaugh to join us today. So, for those of you who don't know, he too is in a class that we have together. One of my classes. Oh, there he is. Hold on. Let's just. Carrie, can you hear us? Can you see us? I can see you. Let's see. Let me try again. Okay. We see you. Okay, let's just see if it's mute, Mike. Nope. We see you.
Yes.
Hey. Yes, there we are. Perfect. Can you hear us? Hello, hello. Okay. So what we're going to do is I am going to
Can
tell
you see me?
everybody, yes, I can see you and I can hear you. Okay, so he's trying to battle these technical issues between his laptop and between his telephone. And the reason why we're going through this spiritual warfare with him, that he's battling between his laptop and between his cell phone, is because he is on the verge of blowing up. Okay. Okay, he said he can hear us until I brought him on stage. Okay, we have to bring you on. Okay. So, yes, because as we all know, when you are that close, okay, to changing lives and walking in purpose, there's always going to be the enemy there trying to stop you dead in your tracks. And we don't allow for that to happen. So what we're going to do is I am going to talk a little bit about Carrie and tell you the reason why I invited him to be our very first guest on episode 101 of the Sonya Dungee podcast tonight at a special time geared around what was more convenient for him. I see okay, I see him, and we're just going to add him to the stage. And can you hear us? Can you see us?
I can now. Yes. Can you see and hear
All
me?
right. Okay. As we
I
were saying, welcome. I'm going to tell our viewers about you. And I was just saying that when we were on the right path and we were so close to walking fully in purpose and helping those that we are assigned to, that the enemy will come for us, and we don't allow for that to happen because the devil is a liar. I don't even try to call his name out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to continue where we left off. I'm not going to, that's why I brought you on the stage. Let's just keep you right there. And then we're going to go from there. Okay. So the reason why I asked Carrie to be my very first guest on this episode tonight at a special time geared around what was convenient for him is because I share a class with him, and he's always been that quiet one in the back of the room, as they say, quiet. And don't take this offensively, but this is what I normally say. I always say you have to watch out for the quiet ones because they are silent, but they are deadly like a fart. That's what I say. And it's true. It's true. The silent ones are the most powerful, uplifting ones that you got to watch out for, and you don't cross them at the same time. So once I heard this gentleman really, now he spoke in class the other night, and I was like, wow, I was blown away. And then before I can even get my thoughts together, I heard him on Christmas. And Christmas on his 11 minutes plus, he brought the house down and I took a lot of notes. I listened attentively. I went back and listened again, and today I took notes. Okay, so yes, that's what I was doing. I was taking notes. And so let me, without further ado, go ahead and tell you about this gentleman, and find where I put my notes because we were a little bit off. I wrote a lot of notes. Here we are. Nope, that's not it. You see this? We are truly trying to be tried, but we're not trying to be nobody's tried today. We're not trying to be tried today because I will pull it back off of my phone if I have to, but I definitely wrote them down. Um, okay.
I
In the
I'm
meantime,
glad
Carrie,
I,
just so you know, what we did was, what was that?
I was just going to say I'm glad I'm not
Okay,
the
here
only
we go.
one that.
I'm just going to. It is so strange because I was only writing, but it just disappeared. But it's okay. It can disappear. But I'm gonna pull it off my phone just the same. How's that? Okay, because it's in my phone too. All right. So he sent me some of his qualifications, and then I wrote mine. And you don't have to be qualified to be on this podcast. You just have a story that needs to be told for the whole world. But it's all right. So here we go. So Mr. Carey how do you say your last name correctly?
Carbaugh.
Carbaugh. Okay, thank you. All right, so he hails from Colorado. He once lived in White Plains, New York, so Strong Island, New York, not too far from. And the things that, I mean, he has a degree and all that. And I'm going to let him tell you about that. But I had fast forward and I started listening and paying attention. His passion um, is his faith, and that he works with children and youth and music. And he shares his faith with others and trying to help them grow theirs. He teaches third and fifth grade Sunday school and has been for many years. He volunteered youth. He's a volunteer youth leader with middle and senior high school students at his church. He's volunteered over the years at children's hospitals and camps for children with cancer. He's also, he also is a missionary because he's gone on many mission trips to Mexico. He enjoys singing and he sung in the church choir. And let me tell you this, not too many people can say, I have a friend who is about to sing in a choir at Carnegie Hall. But guess what? I have a friend who's about to sing in March at Carnegie Hall, and his name is Carrie. Okay. And so Carrie also has a degree in psychology and sociology from the University of Denver with child and adolescent emphasis. He currently works at the registrar's office on the at Front Range Community College. Before that, he was a programmer and a project manager at IBM. I don't know what you told me that for, because you know I'm gonna be calling you because I'm. Thanks you for that. All right. So he has many attributes, but the biggest attribute of all is he has a big heart. He's a faithful servant, and obviously he loves God, and he does all that he can in his community um, to uplift and encourage. And it warms my heart, especially hearing your emphasis in children with cancer. So without further ado, thank y'all for waiting. Welcome, Carrie. I don't have to ask you, did you make the live? Because there you are. I'm just going to ask you, can you just bring your computer, laptop, whatever, so we can see the top of you, honey? We got to see all the gorgeousness. There you go. Thank you. So welcome and thank you so much for gracing the stage with us and pushing through the adversity. So besides what I've already said, who is Carrie really?
Wow. Well, thank you, Sonya. Thank you so much. I don't know that I deserve all those accolades, but I certainly do appreciate it. And I have watched you two through this class that we're in together, and have seen you as a leader and just can't tell you how honored and blessed I was when you asked me right after I did my own podcast I've been putting off for at least 6 months. I think it's probably been longer than that, but um, I I'm still brand new to this, and even though I'm a programmer, I had technical difficulties, and that's why I was a little late joining you. But I appreciate all.
Okay.
And um, how do I summarize my whole life in just a few moments? I put some of those things in the bio, hoping to resonate with some of your audience. I think what you're doing here with people that are struggling with loss and grief is just incredible.
Thank
You know,
you.
we all go through that, and we all, as I shared with you, I've held both my parents' hands as they passed, and it's the hardest thing I've ever done, and yet it's the most beautiful thing I've ever done.
Hmm.
So but I am one of four children. I'm the third of four children in my family. I'm the youngest boy, and then I have a younger sister. Very, very tight family growing up. Um, my parents were very close. I'm blessed to have been raised by both biological parents, and these days that's not too many people can say that. Uh,
Yes.
and so that is a blessing, and that has certainly contributed to my faith and growing up in church over the years. As I say, I've done mission work. I did mission work as a youth. I've done mission work as a youth leader, as an adult. Uh, One of my most amazing trips that I've ever taken was to southern Mexico to live on a coffee farm for about a week. And
Wow.
as I've actually done that twice. I'm part of a co-op, a coffee co-op that has helped immigrant farmers not have to immigrate to the United States because they can sustain themselves on their land, uh, and not have to leave their country. And just to be able to be a part of that, um, is pretty incredible. And
Mm.
I guess I'll share it now. I was not sure exactly what point I was going to share this, but it fits right now because when I was down in Mexico first time, and we're picking our way through the coffee fields. I don't know if you've ever been on a coffee farm or a coffee field. Pretty steep, slippery slopes, ruts, and not easy to navigate. And I looked at the coffee farmer that was helping me navigate through the fields. Uh, I looked at him. Well, I bet you've never done a guy through the coffee fields before.
I'm sorry, Carrie. 1 second. You're covering your whole self now with your finger, honey.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. I'm not planning on doing this on the phone, so I'm having to hold this. But thank you.
I'm sorry. Mhm.
So I said to him, I said, I bet you've never guided a blind guy through the coffee fields before. I'm actually legally blind. I'm not completely blind, but I am legally blind. So I have limited vision. Um, and I looked at the coffee farmer and said that, and he said, no, he says, but we've got a story the next time we have a group of people who comes through the coffee fields and somebody doesn't think they can make it because now they've guided a blind guy through the coffee fields.
Yes. And
Uh,
thank you for saying that. I purposely did not say that. I forgot to ask you, and I would never, say something or put something out there without approval. But thank you,
sure.
because that even puts more emphasis on everything that I have said to edify you, as well as what you are talking about right now. So please go ahead.
No, you're fine, and I don't mind talking about it at all. It's not something I tend to bring up a lot. It is a part of who I am, but it's also a part of what I've overcome.
Hmm.
Uh, I was actually the first student to go through the public schools here in the small town of Longmont, Colorado, where I live. It's not so small anymore, but when I grew up, it was quite small. I was not the first to graduate from high school, but I was the first to go through high school, or to go through school, to start in kindergarten and go clear through high school with a vision disability. Um,
Wow.
my parents were very, very big advocates at the state level to get laws passed long before, well, a few years before federal laws for requiring, now I'm drawing a blank on the word, but requiring that students be allowed to attend public schools and be mainstreamed into the classroom. My parents helped get laws passed in the state of Colorado before the federal laws were enacted. So I've grown up around advocates. I've grown up, even though I didn't really see them as advocates. I mean, that's really what they were doing back in the 70s. So that's just always kind of been a part of my life. I remember my parents, I wrote a speech in high school that was titled, I was part of the speech and debate group at high school. The speech was entitled, "Don't Be Afraid of a Handicapped Person." And I remember one of the quotes that I got from my parents was, their whole philosophy when they put me in the public schools was, he's going to have to compete with sighted people the rest of his life. He might as well start now. And
Wow.
when they were told to put me in the state school, they were told to institutionalize me. My dad said over my dead body, my 4-year-old's not going to go live in an institution, live in a dormitory and be away from their family. So that's
Wow.
the way I've been raised and the way I've grown up. So it, as I say, not afraid to talk about it,
Mm-hmm.
but don't always tend to bring it up.
Absolutely.
It's a part of who I am, but it's not who I am.
Yes. Yes. And thank you for saying that, because that is so key. Like we cannot allow for adversity to define us.
Right.
And that's why I didn't bring it up. I was hoping that you were, and I had every intention of asking you, and I did not. I'm sorry, but it
Okay.
and that's what was so empowering, because even in class I didn't know until Darren just brought it up recently, because again, you don't use that as a crutch or as a handicap, you just do your thing. And he said that's why you don't always have your screen on, and I didn't notice if you had your screen or not, because I'm so involved in my own business, trying to soak up everything and catching the nuggets dropped. So thank you so much for saying it, and just for sharing that you are considered legally blind and you don't. And this gentleman, this young man, he rides a bus. And not only, I mean, I can't be right. I could barely be a passenger, in the passenger seat while the car is going, and I'm trying to text somebody because I literally get nauseous. He's on the bus and he's there, and he's DMing me back and forth because we're trying to work everything out for tonight, on top of the almost 4-hour conversation that him and I had the other night. I was blessed to have. I couldn't believe it was so long that we were on the phone, but we have so many similarities. And, it's so fitting that you're starting this episode 101 on the first day of January in the new month and the new year, because the Boss Masterclass is going to be about building resilience and about the grief, the hardship, and despair that you were in, or you're in, or that you will be in, and knowing that you could come out on the other side okay, that life still goes on. So that's the message for tonight, and you're the perfect person to have with us today to deliver that message. So please go ahead and share with us, share with the world everything that we need to know about you. And I'm so excited for that one part that I told everybody already. I have a friend who's going to be singing in Carnegie Hall. I told you I was going to tell everybody I was the first one.
You did. You did. Yes, I'm blessed to be part of a choral group here in Longmont that I've sung with for about 30 years now. And we were, we did a premiere of a work called A Vision Unfolding, which is written by a gentleman named Kyle Peterson. It's all about social justice and accepting people for who they are and where they are. Well, we did a Zoom rehearsal with Mr. Peterson, and
Wow.
heaven knows how he could hear enough over Zoom to like what he heard, but apparently he liked what he heard, because the next thing we knew, we were being invited to participate with the DCINY. It's the Distinguished Concerts International of New York, which is
Wow.
an only choir. We do not have to audition because we were invited by the guest composer in residence. So I am very blessed and honored. I will be at Carnegie in March, March 16th. If people are interested, they can find tickets at the DCINY website. I meant to look that up before jumping on here, but I can put it in the comments afterwards if people
Yes,
are
please
interested
do. Because I
in
already
grabbing
Googled.
tickets.
To be honest, I was already all up in there Googling. I was like, all right, that's how much are tickets for Carnegie Hall in general? I didn't know specifics, but me being me, analytical, I was already up in it. So yes, so if you could put that in the comments, that would be wonderful. Thank you so much.
No, you're welcome. Thank you for allowing me to promote that. I will be one of 140 or 50 people, so you may or may not even see me on stage, but I'll be there.
We're gonna see you. We're gonna see you. We're gonna see you. No worries. If I have to stand up and say, "Excuse me, can you move over a little bit? I'm looking for somebody. Excuse me." We're gonna see you. We are going to see you. You not to worry. Because like I said, not too many people can say that. And it's not about I'm just saying it all in fun because because of the topic, what my niche is, I don't get to have fun, because it's not a fun topic to talk about. Seeing me and the other side and what I have become, absolutely. So any chance that I can get to smile and have fun and really enjoy our guests, I'm going to do it. So thank you so much for that. But yes,
No,
stop being modest. Keep going.
well, one comment I would like to make before I forget it, because something you said a minute ago made me think of this. Sometimes grief and grieving loss is not just about losing someone.
Yes.
Even though I've been visually impaired my entire life, I've not suffered the loss, but there are many, many people that I know who go blind later in life. And that's another type of grief. Not one that I can personally relate to, but perhaps some of your audience, either themselves or another family member, can relate to some of that. So I think
Yes.
as we look at the broader topic of your community, that can be a part of grief as well.
Absolutely.
I wanted to stick that in there before I forgot to make that comment.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I do appreciate that.
You're welcome.
We can make this the Sonya and Carrie or the Carrie and Sonya podcast.
Hey,
This is great.
That works. I can't think of another person I'd be more blessed to do it with.
Thank you. We gotta have a conversation. Hello. And we have to include Namari.
Heck
Yes.
yeah.
Little Namari just came by. All right, want to say hello really quick? Come on. I know. Okay, Namari wants to say hello, so go ahead, say hello. Tell her, wave. Tell her, but you can't say hello.
There.
All right. All right. Say hello, Mr. Carey. See. All right. Yes, this is the Mari. Yeah, this is the little ATV guy. This is the one that's behind the scenes in a lot of ways.
Hey,
And
Namari.
Okay, so go ahead.
Let's see. Where we go from here?
Everywhere. We were talking about the Carrie and Sonya and Carrie.
Oh,
podcast.
yeah. I can't think of anybody that I'd be more blessed to do. do something like that with. We can certainly look at doing more partnerships or
Yes.
whatever the Lord has in store.
Amen. Yes.
Um,
Go ahead.
but yeah, so I think we covered a lot of my interest in music, and uh, I am starting, as Sonya alluded to, I'm starting my own podcast. I did my first one Christmas. I don't know why, but God told me to do it, so here we go.
Yes,
Uh,
I'm excited. 10 o'clock. Tell them what time. How do we find you? What
I,
on what social platforms? All of that.
at this point, I'm only streaming on Facebook. I plan to expand that um, as we get going, but at this point, you can find me simply my name, Carey, Karey, Carbaugh, Carbaugh on Facebook. I do have that same handle on Instagram, and I try to at least copy the podcasts over to Instagram after they've aired. I haven't been super savvy at doing that yet, but we're getting there. We're getting there. Um, I'll be doing my podcast tonight at 8 p.m. Mountain Time, 10 p.m. Eastern, 9 p.m. Central, and I guess that would be 7 p.m. California, West Coast, Pacific. Um, and it's all going to be about, tonight's podcast is going to be about New Year's resolutions and maybe some alternatives to New Year's resolutions, which oftentimes fail. I'll just give you a little teaser.
Yes, true.
I won't give you a spoiler alert here, but that's basically what I plan to cover tonight. Uh, my audience is still developing. I'm not quite as developed as you are, Sonya,
Perfect.
your group, but we're developing, and I'm finding my niche. So
Let me tell you a little secret that's not a secret. It took me a long time to get even where I am right now. My first podcast I shared with everybody. I thought I was doing something. I was so relieved at the end. My head was shaking. I threw the pen down, dropped the mic. Mr. Darren Walker kept texting me, and I was like, why you keep texting me for? You know I'm doing my podcast. My sister's calling me. I'm like, why are you calling me? I'm doing my podcast. Sony wasn't doing nothing, but I was on practice mode and didn't know. So then I was like, well, you know what? I don't care what time it is. I'm going to get it done, and I'm going to do it. And I did it. I finished after 1 o'clock in the morning. My sister was there with me, and I did my first podcast. And then I went back and I looked at it. I was like, oh, that was awful. My first 11 was like, oh, boy, but just to put yourself out there, you have to be uncomfortable to be uncomfortable. It's not about you. It's not about what you look like. In my opinion, it's about the message that is being delivered with honesty, integrity, and being vulnerable in the delivery. That's what is important. So sometimes, I got my hair thrown up in a ponytail or this or that or whatever, it was just whatever. Because I was still learning and growing. I was still messy. I was still grieving, but my grief had changed. It was the same stuck grief, so no worries. And you got the community and you got me, and I'll help you in any way. And I am going to have a conversation with you because I think I have something in mind to do. But I am super proud of you for your accomplishments in a short time, which, yes, you could have done it a lot sooner, but you know what? It wasn't the time for you. It wasn't. Right. This is the time. Now is the time. Last week was the time. Tonight is the time. You now have the Carey. I'm gonna mess up your name. Carbaugh. Podcast. That's Carbaugh. Okay. Podcast. 10 o'clock on Wednesday nights on Facebook for now. You have followers because I had a gentleman, two, that jumped on Instagram. Not Instagram, I'm sorry. They are on YouTube, and one has self-proclaimed he is your friend, Ezra. My friend is on this podcast, so they are supporting you as well. as Daryl, which I normally don't call names, but I am today because I can do that. It's my podcast. And then jumping over to Instagram and not being cocky at all. I'm just super excited and getting you pumped up to realize that you have a lot of value and a lot of love and support behind you. You have Stay Sexy Wellness is here, Drip City, which is my daughter. You have Nettie. You know who Nettie is. Nettie's beyond everything, supporting everyone. So let's support her back. We have Coach Dawn Allen. We have Tennille the Captain here. We have Mr. Tony Smith on here as well. And that's only 2 platforms. I can't see everybody who's on Facebook, but yes, you do have the support. And I thank you so much for being here tonight. Through all the adversity that you have gone through, to let people see that there's no such thing as a quote unquote, get that out of your mouth. I'm sorry. There's nothing. The child had a pin in a paper clip in his mouth. I'm sorry. There's no such thing as a handicap that can stop you from your true calling. We all, and you said it, and so ironic that I my cards were like right there. It was right behind another card, but you said things that we are here for a purpose. You said that we are purposeful. I like I said, I did go back and pay attention and wrote it down after the 3rd time listening to on your Christmas first podcast. You said we're purposeful. We all have a faith, no matter what you call it. You know, for me, it's God and Jesus. Jesus died on the cross for us. That's Jesus. That's God. And, you know, I'm going to talk about my faith. You know, I'm not trying to push it on anybody, but I'm going to talk about it. And the more I learn, I'm going to talk about it even more, because things that I don't understand, I'm on the phone calling Mr. Darren Walker, or I'm calling my sister, Coach Dawn Allen, and I'm asking questions, and they know it. And so I'm super excited about that. But the things that you said, you do have purpose. We all have purpose. We beat out of millions to be here. We are purposeful. I don't care who slept with who to get you here. We have a purpose in life. Okay, and it's our duty, our purpose to find out what that is and serve those that we were called to serve. And I know I'm preaching right now, but it's in my heart to do so. Okay, so first day of new month of a new year. Okay, and we have Mr. Carey here, and he's going to do his second podcast tonight, and then we are going to do something together. I already have something in mind. You heard him say he can't back out of it now. Please support him in March at Carnegie Hall. He's going to get the information, and he's going to put that in here as well. I want to thank you for joining us. I want to thank you so much for sharing your story. It was very uplifting, and it was very empowering, and I know that lives are going to be changed because of it. There's no such thing as a handicap, and you, whatever that adversity is, whatever storm you are in, or you have gone through, or you will go in, that there is hope on the other side. Okay, so God bless you all, and I have one thing to ask you before we close up for tonight, to please fill in the blank. Be always destined for blank.
Oh, and you gave me warning that you were going to ask me this.
I did tell you.
The
I told you stuff, but I did tell you that.
The obvious one is greatness, but I think the thing that resonates with me as I think about this is be always destined for who you were intended to be.
Yes.
Who you were meant to be.
Yes. I love that. Absolutely. Yes. Say that one more time for somebody in the back of the room who might not have been able to hear it.
Be always destined for who you were meant to be.
Yes, absolutely. And with that being said, be safe. Remember what I told you too. If something ain't right, it ain't right. If you feel like something isn't right, whether it is your safety or it's your health, go get that checked out. So be safe, stay well. God bless you all, and be always destined for greatness, your very best. Don't compare your beginning to somebody else's middle. Until I pop up again, or until you see Carrie tonight at 10 p.m., on the Carrie. I know I'm gonna mess this up again.
Carrie Carbaugh podcast.
Carbaugh, because I have a way of changing names. I keep on
You're
saying both for some reason, but
I know. You're
you will
fine.
see him tonight. Until then, oh, wait a second. I forgot to share one thing I want to share with you. Sharing is caring. So on the Instagram side of the house, they are saying to you, um, to please put that in the comments about Carnegie Hall. They're saying good points, Carrie. Wow, so much value. Congratulations, Carrie, on your podcast. Um, wow, that will be a blast. You're going to be okay, Mr. Carey. Amen, Sonya. No disabilities can stop anyone from doing the work that God assigned has given them. Amen. Love your insight, Carrie. Thank you. Sonya, great podcast, Miss Sonya. That's great, Mr. Carey. Be grateful for who you were meant to be. So thank you so much. The comments are coming in still. So please, Carrie, after I post this tonight, if you'll just go in under the comments from this podcast and let them know how they can get tickets to see you in March. God bless you. Thank you once again for gracing us with your presence tonight and uplifting and empowering us all. And I will see you tonight at 10 p.m.
Thank you so much,
Until
Sonia.
then,
Thank you.
you're welcome. You're welcome. You're welcome. So we're going to say goodbye to our friends on Instagram. Bye for now. And to those on Facebook and YouTube as well, thank you for joining. God bless you all. Happy New Year from Namari and myself and Carrie as well. Bye for now. Wait, they can't see you, honey. Go ahead.